Wisconsin Sports Zone update.
Well, another full practice field for the Packers today as the entire 53-man active roster took part for a second straight day in advance of the season opener on Sunday against Detroit. Wide receiver Jaden Reed and quarterback Nate Hobbs both practiced again and are listed as questionable for Sunday. So too is Micah Parsons, who made it through all four practices this week. Parsons is hopeful he's going to make his debut against the Lions, especially after seeing how invested the rest of the team is.
I came in Tuesday for treatment and I saw almost every guy in the locker room. I said, this is the first time I've ever seen this. And that just shows how much these guys want to be here, how much they do say it's because there ain't nothing else to do, but there's other things you could do. But they just want to be around each other, hang out. And that's important, having guys that want to come into the building.
Other players questionable for Sunday include Dontavian Wicks and Savion Williams. Again, with the Packers and Lions at Lambeau Field. Green Bay favored by 1.5. Kick is set for 325. Turn to the Badgers. They're going to be in action tomorrow afternoon as they welcome in Middle Tennessee State. Wisconsin looking to get to 2-0 and are 28.5-point favorites. Middle Tennessee State coming off a 20-point loss to Austin Peay last week where they managed to gain just 153 yards and went 0 for 12 on third down. Kick tomorrow is at 3.
Rural Mutual Insurance, keeping Wisconsin strong.
You may know Rural Mutual Insurance as the #1 farm insurer. But did you know they also offer competitive home, auto, business, and life insurance? They make it convenient to bundle your insurance while saving you time and money. Visit ruralmutual.com to learn more.
Rural Mutual Insurance, keeping Wisconsin strong.
Well, the Brewers opening up a 6-game road trip tonight in Pittsburgh against the Pirates, doing so with a 5.5-game lead in the NL Central on Chicago. With this Wisconsin Sports Zone Network update, I'm Zach Heil-Prin.
The touchbacks now come out to the 35-yard line.
Conduct. Defense number 98. Number 98's defense actions has disqualified him from the game.
Whoa.
15-yard penalty.
Whoa. So Jalen Carter, the focus and the star for the Eagles on the front line, out for the game before snap. Here he goes. He walks there in front of Dak Prescott. Did he spit? Did he spit on him? I think he did. And the official was right there to throw the flag, who was keeping an eye on that confrontation. No idea, obviously, what was said, but Jalen Carter out of this game before a snap. Chris, first of all, I got no idea what he's thinking. And second, this is massive in terms of the game.
I got to tell you, he's the best player they have on their defense. And about 80% of what we were going to talk about on this broadcast, because to beat the Philadelphia Eagles, you have to double team Jalen Carter. And it's almost like Micah Parsons now gone from the Cowboys. Same impact now with Jalen Carter gone.
Detroit, in both games that we played them, we got behind way too early, and that's hard to do against a really good football team. Costly turnovers in both games that ended up being critical plays.
This is where Wisconsin gathers to talk sports. Packers, Brewers, Badgers, Bucks. The Wisco Sports Show is on the air. Now, here's your host, Grant Bills.
Some audio from last night. If you were getting home a little late, sometimes I'll miss the opening kickoff or I'll miss the first couple of plays because I work a little bit later on in the day. I don't leave work until 6. So if I want to go to the gym after work, humble brag, subtle brag, or if I want to go to the store, like run some errands, sometimes I'll miss national anthem kickoff. Like maybe I'll be a couple minutes late. If you miss the start of the game, that's how it started last night. I'm sure you saw the videos today. Jalen Carter spitting on Dak Prescott and getting his ass thrown out. And I'll go a step farther. You heard Tirico and Collinsworth there, that little soundbite from last night from the broadcast on NBC, saying Jalen Carter is their best player on defense. I think he might have just been the best football player in that building last night. Now, you could argue Saquon. You could argue, I don't know, probably not CeeDee Lamb, but he would be in that group too. If you were to take all the players, regardless of position, in last night's contest between those two teams and rank them, Jalen Carter's either one or right behind whoever's number one. And he got his rear end thrown out of the game before the first play. The NFL is the best. And I think my favorite part of Jalen Carter getting thrown out last night was the fact that Chris Collinsworth pulled no punches. He kept slamming him throughout the game about how selfish and stupid that was. And then the guys on the studio crew, and I shouldn't just say guys because Maria Taylor's there too, and say like the broadcasters and the analysts on the game, we're not pulling punches. Like I like that. Like be critical of a player, criticize a dumb decision that a player made, and it probably doesn't hurt. Well, I don't know if that's the correct wording, but people are already skeptical of Jalen Carter's decision making, considering what happened with him in college at Georgia. Although that's not exactly a unique situation at Georgia, it's happened to other players too. But that was my favorite part of the Jalen Carter part of the game last night was the announcers and the analysts, and there was a weather delay, so they had extra airtime, not being afraid to criticize him and not pulling punches. I really liked that part of the game. I thought it was a good night for Chris Collinsworth, and Tirico is always excellent. I enjoyed the game last night. That's where we'll start. It's the Wisco Sports Show. Fins up. It's Friday. I should say this right off the jump. The Brewers are in Pittsburgh tonight, so some of our affiliates will lose the second hour of the show. And if you're like, Grant, that's not a problem, I'd rather listen to the Brewers. Oh, okay, enjoy the Brewer game then. And you won't get hour number 2. You can always find it in the podcast, or we'll reconnect on Monday. But if you want to stay with the show and you want to hear hour number 2, we're going to get into, in hour number 2, some drama surrounding the Bears and Caleb Williams. A really good story from Tyler Dunne is out today about some of the behind-the-scenes stuff. Tyler Dunne, very good at stories like this, some real juicy tidbits. So we're going to discuss that and get to your phone calls. It's a free phones Friday in hour number 2. You're going to want to have a backup option ready, whether it's the live stream, YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, or what I would recommend, download that Wisco Sports Zone app. You can listen on there, whether you're WK2I, WAYY, WOZN, our flagship here in Madison. No matter what station you're listening on, you'll be able to get that. And you can also watch the live stream on there as well. It broadcasts on the app too. Pretty slick. So get that ready because some of our affiliates will drop us for the Brewers. The start of hour number 2. Ryan Wood going to be here in about 10, 12 minutes to recap the Packers week, and we'll pick his brain on the matchup with the Lions on Sunday as well. But I'll give you my opening take for the first few minutes on the NFL's opening night last night. The Eagles won 24-20. This opening night game is always really fun. And I don't have the history of opening nights in front of me. I don't have all the box scores. I don't have the stats. So you could probably poke a hole in this somewhere that this is, kind of anecdotal evidence for me. This is my own anecdotal evidence. This is my truth, okay? But doesn't it seem like, and I bet the numbers would mostly back this up. I'm sure there have been years where this isn't the case, but it seems like just about every opening Thursday night of each NFL season is pretty darn good. Like, these games are typically pretty great, even if one team is much better than the other. And I think the Eagles are significantly better than the Cowboys. Or remember Chiefs-Lions a couple of years ago. Remember Buccaneers-Cowboys a couple of years ago on that opening Thursday night. That was a couple. And I think I'm missing a game. It doesn't seem to matter the talent disparity or the coaching disparity or the home field advantage disparity, whatever. This opening Thursday night game seems to level the playing field, and I just think it's part of the NFL's magic. Whatever equation they have, whatever they're doing in their offices and in those meetings behind the scenes to create the schedule and to set Thursday night and Sunday night and Monday night and to pick the teams and to pick where the game's going to be. I don't know what it is. They just always seem to be setting up a good game, at least on this opening Thursday night. There will be, Thursday night games throughout the season that stink, and there'll be Sunday night or Monday night games that are a bust. But it seems like just about every year you can sit down on opening night on that Thursday after Labor Day and expect a good game. It always seems to work out that way. I do wonder how the game may have gone differently last night if Jalen Carter doesn't get ejected, but it's not like a piano fell on his head. He spit on a guy right in front of an official. So I'm not going to feel bad for the Eagles or Jalen Carter. I do wonder maybe how his absence impacted the game. I wonder how the weather delay impacted the game. Although it seems like the weather delay kind of impacted both teams equally. Things just kind of shut off after that hour break, and it's understandable. And I thought they did a good job on the broadcast kind of talking about that. Imagine the energy and imagine the excitement and imagine how everybody was jacked up for that game. And it's in Philly, which is just a bandbox of a venue, especially for a night game on national TV. And it felt like that weather delay kind of sucked some of the energy out of the building. I don't remember who tweeted it last night. I might have bookmarked it. I just bookmark a ton of crap during the game. It's like, ooh, that's worth bringing up on the radio, or that's worth talking about. But I saw a tweet last night from someone who works around the NFL or covers the NFL, and I thought it was a good point that for night games, a lot of times these players, they do a lot of sitting around in their hotel room throughout the day. They're waiting for the game to start. And if you talk to college football players, especially, around the WEAC, but I think this is probably true at the Division I level too. Players love playing it 11 or noon or 1. They like getting up and let's play this game. I don't want to sit around and wait all day. Let's play the game. And then in college, I go out and celebrate a win after. I think these night games, these players are already sitting around waiting and probably struggling with getting tired or getting sleepy. It's hard to sit around all day and then get jacked up at 6 or 7 p.m. And then when you factor in an hour stoppage where you're going into the locker room and you're just kind of waiting, it seemed to impact both teams pretty evenly. The scoring just shut off. The post Lightning delay was a lot more boring. It was a lot of 3-4 yard runs, tush pushes, and then CeeDee Lamb forgot how to catch the ball. The Lightning delay seemed to impact him most of all. I thought Dak Prescott played really good, but to Dak's credit, he normally plays pretty good against his division rivals. They don't have to beat the Eagles, but he normally plays pretty well. I feel like, again, anecdotal evidence, but if you were to pull up the game history of Dak Prescott when he's healthy playing the Eagles, he always plays pretty darn good, and they always seemingly come up just short, which is what they did last night. I think the Eagles, some people are going to walk away from that game last night, and I have some audio from Nick Wright on First Things First that I'll play you a little bit later on in the show. I think a lot of people probably watched the Eagles last night and thought, I don't know, didn't really look all that dominant, didn't look like a Super Bowl team is supposed to look, because typically a team coming off of a Super Bowl win that opening night, it's just kind of supposed to go your way, like you're supposed to look like, yeah, that's a team of destiny, that's a team that just won a Super Bowl. And the Eagles didn't really look incredible. They didn't look amazing. And I think if you listen to talk shows today, like, what did you see from the Eagles last night? Do you think they can, play at a high level this year? Do you think they can defend their title? And I think a lot of people will probably downplay or express criticism or doubt, or, man, I don't know if the Eagles looked the same through one game, which is ridiculous, but that's all we have to go off of. We have a show to do today, and we're talking about last night's game. I had the opposite takeaway from last night's game about the Eagles. To me, it was impressive that they didn't look awesome. It was impressive to me that it didn't seem super easy. It was impressive that not everything went their way, and still they were able to hold off the Cowboys even after a delay and win, even though their best player, I think their best player, got ejected before the game really even had a chance to start. I think that's what makes the Eagles great, is they don't need to play this flashy, sexy, smooth, high-flying version of football. They can get grubby in the trenches. They have both the offense and defensive line to do that. They have the running game to do it. I don't know about their coverage unit. That would maybe be my one question about the Eagles coming away from last night, is like, are they going to be able to cover? Adoree Jackson was getting picked on early and often. They were moving Cooper DeJean around, trying to figure out a way to slow down Dallas's passing attack. And maybe they found a way, or maybe the game just got muddied up by that hour-long delay. And then CeeDee Lamb, of course, had a couple big drops. That's just CeeDee Lamb not making a catch. That's not anything to do with the coverage. So you could have some questions through one game about the Eagles coverage unit. But to me, it's impressive that they can play not so great, and it doesn't look easy, and it doesn't look flashy. And they have the talent, the depth of talent across the board to win at wide receiver, at tight end, at running back, on both lines of scrimmage, at linebacker. You saw Zach Bond kind of flying around looking like Zach Bond. Jihad Campbell had a really nice play defending backwards up the seam. Their first-round pick that everyone's like, how did the Eagles get this guy? How did the league let Howie Roseman get Jihad Campbell to play inside linebacker, their biggest maybe position of need? I think that's what makes the Eagles impressive, is that they can show up and play in a muddy, clunky, imperfect game and still win. And Jalen Hurts is a big part of that. Jalen Hurts is maybe the most interesting player in the NFL. I think he's limited. And I think if you drop Jalen Hurts into other situations around football, he would struggle and the team wouldn't win as much. But he's on a team with an excellent O-line and all of the bells and whistles on offense and an outstanding defense. Their defense down the stretch last year was unbelievable. And Jalen Hurts, really all the way back to the Super Bowl they lost against the Chiefs, has been able to step his play up when required, but also has shown the capability to realize, okay, it's not in my team's best interest for me to do more right now. It's actually in my team's best interest to just play within a very narrow set of circumstances, distribute the ball here, manage the clock this way, right, run or avoid. I just think Jalen Hurts, a lot of quarterbacks could watch Jalen Hurts and learn a lesson of there's some games where I need to let it fly, and then there's some games where I need to play a little bit of a different brand of football, and he's really, really impressive, even though I think he's limited. I don't think you could put him on every team and every roster in the league, and I don't think he would be as good. But for his situation, I think it's a great lesson for quarterbacks around football to watch Jalen Hurts and say, okay, sometimes you gotta go all out and you gotta make the big plays, and sometimes it's more about just playing within the flow of the game, not making mistakes, maybe doing a little bit less so the team can do a little bit more. I think Jalen Hurts plays a very mature brand of quarterback that a lot of quarterbacks who are probably more talented and more gifted around the league, I think they could learn from Jalen Hurts watching Jalen Hurts. So that's my opening take on last night, the NFL's opening night. When we come back, thanks to Lacrosse Beer House, we'll get our Friday conversation with Ryan Wood from Packers News USA Today. I want to get his reaction to everything that he saw and that he heard throughout practices and locker room sessions this week, especially with Micah Parsons, as he had a chance to converse back and forth. I want his impressions of that. And then also, of course, we're going to talk about Detroit because it's week 1. So that's coming up in just a few minutes as well. Again, thanks to Lacrosse Beer House. Ryan Wood will join us to talk Packers next.
This is the Wisco Sports Show with Grant Bills on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
The Zone Blitz pregame bash is back. Every Wisconsin home game 2 hours before kickoff at the Blue Moon Bar and Grill. And this year, do I have something special for you? It's a perfect snack for game day or any day. Wenzel's Farm Pro Snack Sticks. Come see me and I'll hand you 16 grams of protein to fuel you through the day. Wenzel's Farm offers that and so much more, crafted in small batches using premium cuts of meat, perfectly seasoned, and naturally hardwood smoked. Check out wenzelsfarm.com. Made by pros for pros.
The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 3 minutes. The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 2 minutes. The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 1 minute. The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 30 seconds.
the beginning of like last week was a little weird because we had guys starting to, come back and practice. But one thing that I will say, that a lot of guys that were out has played a lot of ball here. So it's like after that day or two, like you could tell, like Wicks, Jay Reed making plays all day today. So I think we'll be all right. Just as long as they condition this stuff is up to par, I think we'll be fine.
That's Josh Jacobs talking about players that missed a lot of time in camp, all kind of coming back to practice. It's been a little bit of a process over the last week, but a good point, right? A lot of the guys who have missed time, not all, Nate Hobbs, for example, but a lot of the guys that have missed time, been around the team, are familiar with the playbook, familiar with each other. So hopefully that expedites the return to play, or the return to play and the return to practice at a high level. Hopefully that expedites the process a little bit. Ryan Wood joining us now, Packers News USA Today. He's on Twitter at @ByRyanWood. He joins us thanks to Lacrosse Beer House. Let's start with housekeeping, Ryan. I think I read all 53 Packers practiced in some capacity today. The injury report is extensive, and I know the Packers are pretty thorough with that. So what injuries should we be concerned about or be focused about going to Sunday, and which maybe can we kind of set to the side?
I think the fascinating thing is Nate Hobbs.
Okay.
Right? Nate Hobbs doesn't practice since July 31st, which might as well be a year in the world of the NFL, because training camp, every day of training camp feels like a week. There's so much that goes on. And he returns to practice yesterday. He practices today. Even Wednesday, when he wasn't practicing, I've never seen this before. During individual drills, Nate Hobbs was in his helmet. The rest of the team's in pads. He's in his helmet and jersey, and he's mimicking individual drills and just itching to get back. And what an interesting decision for the Packers, because, yeah, he's played a lot of ball. He's a veteran, but he's also new in the system.
Mm-hmm.
And, oh, by the way, it's not just week one you have to consider. They have a Thursday night game in week 2. So you have to take that as kind of a lump of, okay, those first 2 weeks, 2 games in 4 days, what do you do there? I can't imagine Nate Hobbs plays, but he is listed as questionable, and we'll see if, going back to his surgery, going back to the beginning of August, his camp was always saying, like, they expect him to be back for week 1.
Yeah.
Nate Hobbs has wanted to be back, and he's on the practice field. I can't see it, but we'll see.
So Jaden Reed is another player. I don't just want to do housekeeping with injuries, but I do want to get some of this cleared up off the top. I mentioned last night, like, I bet if you asked a lot of Packers fans, they would consider Jaden Reed the number 1 wide receiver on this team. Not all, but I think a lot of Packers fans feel that way. And he's apparently going to play with a broken foot all year. So give us the full story and where that stands going into week 1, because he says, rest and treatment, he'll play through it. It's hard to get rest while you're playing NFL games, and it's hard to get treatment when you're supposed to be practicing Monday through Friday. So where do we stand on Jaden Reed, and what should Packers fans know?
Yeah, it is hard. Once the season starts, it doesn't stop, right? I mean, you
Exactly.
get the bye week, but that's it. It's why Jordan Love decided in the middle of August, okay, let's just get this left thumb surgically repaired now, so don't have to worry about it in the fall, because he knows last year, sprained MCL week 1 in Brazil, and it just never got better. He never got rest. I asked Jaden Reed last week, hey, what's week 1 look like? He didn't know then, right? He still couldn't run with pain, especially his breaks in and out of routes. He's practiced this week. Like a lot of these guys, it's going to be a pain tolerance thing. Like, what can you do? Because this is also a big game. It's week 1, and there's always all kinds of hot takes after week 1 because it's the only thing we've seen, and it's such a small sample size. It means nothing in the totality of the season. But it's always it's all we've seen. There's takes off of that small sample size.
Mm-hmm.
It is a significant game because the Lions, like, it could have NFC North implications. So if your guys can go, you like to have them go. But again, Thursday night game week 2, and it's a pain tolerance. If you can't be out there effectively through that pain, then there's no point in putting you out there.
Yeah, I would tend to agree. It's difficult for me to envision a scenario with Jaden Reed this season where it's like, and it's better and it's good now. Like, it's really hard to take an injury and get it to that point while you're playing NFL football, because to your point, there's no breaks. You're practicing Monday through Friday. You're traveling. You're playing in games. Put a pin in the importance of this Lions game, because I agree, and I want to close with that. But I do want your impressions of Micah Parsons, his first full week in Green Bay, the conversations that you've had with him. What strikes you about Micah Parsons as a person who's now joining the Packers organization, the fit or the character stuff that you noticed off the field in your conversations this week?
You know, he going back to that first practice Monday, he looks like a new guy who's just taking it all in. He's everything's new for him, right? It's the smallest things, like how does a team structure practice periods? How do you go through individual drills? He's taking it all in. I thought it was interesting in terms of the taking it all in perspective. A lot of times you see position individual drills, you got your top of the depth chart guys leading the line. Micah Parsons didn't just jump into the front of the line. He was content and just, okay, let me see what's going on here. And you wonder if that's just an attempt to kind of be part of the guys, which you want in that locker room culture, be part of the guys. Mm-hmm. He talked about, there's a basketball goal inside Lambeau Field. A lot of guys like playing basketball. He's brought guys aside this week 3 or 4 minutes at a time. Hey, let's shoot some hoops before meeting. Like he's kind of taken it upon himself to ingratiate himself as part of that locker room culture. Now, what's going to matter ultimately is going to be the field. What does he do on the field? And every single person in that locker room that's been asked about Micah Parsons this week has been unable to conceal their smile. I mean, we're talking sure. Andrew Cooper, Rashawn Gary, Xavier McKinney, all these guys. It's kind of like, my goodness, Micah Parsons is here. And then the second thought is, okay, Kenny Clark is not, and that does hurt. This is the definition of bittersweet. There is a very real bitter part of this and a very real sweet part of this trade that went down. But the sweet part's awfully sweet, and it's just going to get sweeter because week 1's coming up.
Exactly. With the Lions looming on Sunday, we could talk about that. Ryan Wood is here. Thanks to Lacrosse Beer House, Packers News USA Today, and on Twitter @by Ryan Wood. So you can follow his work there. It's kind of ridiculous radio, and it's very much a talk radio thing to say week 1 is a must win. But of all of the possible week 1 games, Ryan, it's a divisional matchup with the Lions. And you have to consider the context of the last couple of years. This is a team that's mostly owned you and owned the division. They haven't beaten them at Lambeau since 2021. So doesn't it kind of feel incumbent on the Packers to show up on Sunday and say, this year is not going to be like the last couple of years. We're going to show that we've made strides and we've made improvements and we're ready to hang with the top dogs in a way that we haven't been the last couple of years. Because if they lose on Sunday, Ryan, the way that they've lost to the Lions recently, all Packers fans are going to say, oh, it's the same. Right? They're going to be a good team, unable to beat the elite teams. They're still a little brother to Dan Campbell. I would like to avoid all that. And I think I guess the pressure or that responsibility lies solely on the Packers on Sunday to show up and tell us that this year is going to be different than the last few.
Which, win or lose, you know what that'll be. And that the whole, okay, they're the same old Packers, mm-hmm. They lose, or this is different. That's a hot take, right? It's very antithesis to how I view week 1.
Okay.
For me to say this is a big game. With that said, I've been fighting that myself. And the reason why, look, week 1 is, go back to 2021, right? The Packers go down to Jacksonville because of Hurricane Irma. They play the Saints in Jacksonville. They get spanked 38-3. And they end the season as the NFC's number 1 seed. Go back to the last time that the Packers opened the season at home. 2018.
Yeah.
Aaron Rodgers leads this 20-3 down, 17-point fourth quarter comeback against the Bears. And oh my goodness. I mean, you still remember that game. Do you remember how the season ended? Mike McCarthy was fired in December. They missed the playoffs. So week 1 really, it's kind of on an island to itself. It means very little in the confines of the season as a whole. With that said, why I've been fighting this is exactly what you just laid out. The Packers haven't won against the Lions inside Lambeau Field the last 3 seasons. They're 1-5 against the Lions the last 3 seasons. They were 1-5 in the division last year. And oh, by the way, if you were to pick, knowing that you have to play the Lions twice,
yep.
If you were to pick one game, put it anywhere you want on the schedule, it would be at home against a team breaking in 2 new coordinators on both sides of the ball for the first time. That would be exactly what the Packers would pick. And they have that lined up. So I oscillate back and forth, Grant. I mean, on one hand, I hear what you're saying. And yeah, this is an opportunity to send a bit of a statement to the team that you are chasing in the NFC North, and you want to show things are different now. Micah Parsons here. Jordan Love's in his 3rd year as a starter. Things are different now. with that said, just because they go out and win, or even if they go out and lose, it doesn't really actually mean that because it's week 1 and there's 16 more games to play.
Yeah, including one 3 days later. Maybe that's the best way to view it. It's an opportunity to play and to show in a way that they have in the last couple. And if they waste that opportunity or they don't take advantage of it, it doesn't screw their season. It'll just be that. It'll be a missed opportunity. Lastly, Ryan, maybe to help us better understand this matchup, when you think back to those last 6 games against the Lions the last 3 years, one of which they won. They won on Thanksgiving in Detroit, but most of them they lost. When you think back covering those games, needing to contextualize and verbalize those games for your stories, what comes to mind as reasons the Packers have struggled, reasons the Lions have been able to beat the Packers? What have been some of the themes throughout these losses to Detroit over the last couple of years?
Yeah, the themes have mostly been close games. And looking last year when they went to Detroit, it came down to a field goal. Obviously the year before that in Detroit was the Jordan Love coming out party. I think it was 2021 when the Packers won both games against the Lions without ever leading for a single second on the game clock for 2 hours of game. They didn't have a second lead because they won both games on a walk-off field goal. I mean, these have been close games because these are two uber-talented rosters. They're two well-run organizations. They're two teams with quarterbacks. They're two teams that are surround their quarterbacks with a running game, with good, impactful defensive stars. These are the cream of the crop in the NFL. There's a reason why the NFL placed this game in what is really for themselves a prime time location. Late afternoon, the entire country is going to be watching this because this is as good as it gets as far as an NFL product. So I do think, we talk Micah Parsons, his impact, and it's so widespread from the secondary. And Xavier McKinney talked about how he makes the secondary's life easier because so much less time that you have to cover. Rashawn Gary, Jeff Hafley, and being able to use him creatively. The one question with Micah Parsons coming in, Kenny Clark going, is going to be the run game. And you think about where are they going to be tested on their schedule this season against the run. It's the Detroit Lions, obviously the Philadelphia Eagles later on in the season. So that is a big matchup to me is, okay, what happens against Jahmyr Gibbs and David Montgomery, that Lions offensive line, without Kenny Clark in the middle? There's a lot now on Devontae Wyatt. There's a lot on the guys behind him. Carl Brooks, Colby Wooden, the rookies. There's a lot in this defensive tackle group to show that they can, without Kenny Clark, be stout against the run. And there's no more challenging way to start that gauntlet than going against this Lions offense. So that's going to be a fascinating matchup.
Lastly, Goody talked about, I don't know if it was his end of season presser or was at the combine. He talked, I think, and you probably remember this better than me, about controlling situations, right? Situational football and being in command and executing in those moments. I don't know that they've done a great job because a lot of these games that they've lost have been close, especially against the elite teams. Other than Micah Parsons, who helps because he can give you big plays in those moments, what have you seen this offseason or in camp that could lead you to think they're better equipped to handle those situations and to maybe win some of these closer games this year?
Well, I remember that because I asked Brian Gutekunst in going into year 3 now, start of the offseason, where does Jordan Love need to be better? And his answer was controlling situations. He says team-wide, but it's also especially paramount for the quarterback. In winning situations, you're consistent. That's what separates the great quarterbacks in the league. Just look at Patrick Mahomes. When it's time to go win a ball game, Patrick Mahomes goes and wins a ball game. That's what he does, and that's what makes him great. You look at last year, right? The last time the Lions came to Lambeau Field, a rain-soaked field, it wasn't close on the scoreboard, but the first half was mostly it was tight. It was close until the very end when the Packers bust a protection and Jordan Love throws an errant pass to Kirby Joseph, and it's a pick 6, and it swings the game. That is what Brian Gutekunst is talking about when he says you need to control the games in winning situations. You can't have those type of mistakes. Falling out of the end zone in Los Angeles against the Rams, and you throw something up to Tucker Kraft, and it's a prayer, and you should just eat the safety because instead you give up 7 points. Those type of things at this point in Jordan Love's career can no longer happen. Now, what have I seen in training camp to show that it won't? You don't learn that in training camp. The only way you learn that is Sundays, is watching the games. When those winning situations come up, Sunday against the Lions, fourth quarter, it's tight. What does Jordan Love do? That's when we'll begin to learn.
Do you have a lean on this game one way or another? You don't have to, but if you do, you mind sharing?
I'm taking the Packers 26-20. I was pretty bullish on this team 2 weeks ago, right? 10 days ago, before Micah Parsons, because I think that this team has a very dangerous combination when it comes to what makes NFL teams contenders. They have youth and they have big game experience. And oh, by the way, now they've added a top 10, top 5 player in the NFL, and Micah Parsons at a premium position.
Yeah.
I think that this is a team that is going to be a forefront contender, and I think that this is a game that they need to go out there and maybe show it to themselves a little bit. They know what their record was in the NFC North last year. They know how well this lines up. Protect their home field against the Lions, and maybe send a little bit of a message.
I like that. Showing themselves. It's not just about appeasing angry callers to sports talk radio and people like me. It's also, I think, a message that maybe they need to feel in a win that they need to get and celebrate together. Well, Ryan, it should be, I hope, a beautiful day and a great display of football at Lambeau to begin the season on Sunday. And we will watch and follow your coverage. We'll talk to you next week.
Hey, take care, man. Have a good weekend.
Ryan Wood, you have a good weekend as well. USA Today, Packers News. Thanks again to La Crosse Beer House, corner of 3rd and Pearl, downtown La Crosse. It would be a beautiful weekend to stop down there. They get those big garage doors. They swing them open, go down and have a nice mug of beer. It's starting to feel October festy. We don't need to rush. We still got about a month, but we can start feeling a general Oktoberfest vibe, right? Go down and get a brat or a big pretzel, the bacon on a stick or the schnitzel, or just a big mug of beer. Sit there, enjoy that fall breeze coming through those big windows, and like their Facebook page as well, La Crosse Beer House, because sometimes they'll have live music or things going on, and you'll just have an extra reason to go down there. Again, corner of 3rd and Pearl. We appreciate them sponsoring Ryan's appearance every Friday, and it's perfectly timed, right? We can recap the week of practice and all the housekeeping things we should know, and also get Ryan's thoughts on the game upcoming on Sunday. So we will continue the show. If you have any Packers thoughts, next, 608-321-1670. I'll take your calls, and we can continue to react to last night's NFL opener, the Eagles and the Cowboys, because we have real games back. So all that's coming up next.
This is the Wisco Sports Show with Grant Bills on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
The Zone Blitz pregame bash is back. Every Wisconsin home game 2 hours before kickoff at the Blue Moon Bar and Grill. And this it's a perfect snack for game day or any day. Wenzel Pro Snack Sticks. Come see me and I'll hit you 16 grams of protein to fuel you through the day. Wenzel's Farm offers that and so much more. Crafted in small batches using premium cuts of meat, perfectly seasoned, and naturally hardwood smoked. Check out wenzelsfarm.com. Made by pros for pros.
Wisco Sports Show will resume in 5 minutes. Wisco Sports Show. Wisco Sports Show will resume Wisco Sports Show will resume in 2 minutes. Wisco Sports Show will resume in The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 30 seconds.
That team is not getting back to the Super Bowl. That team, when it starts to go sideways and it starts to look like, oh yeah, they're not quite the same team, you know what's going to be said? Should have seen it coming. Remember how the year started? The first play of the season, they unluckily suffer an injury. And before the second play of the season, their best player on their defense is spitting on the league's highest paid player. Going into the year, if there was a concern, what was it? Pass rush and secondary. Immediately, first game of the year, it's like, ooh, yikes. Like, they don't look the same in that regard. And other bubbling potential stories going into the year, like if it got off right, well, what about A.J. Brown getting, being able to eat? Well, he had his career low in targets, all in the first game of the year against a team that none of us think is great. So I have, oddly, more faith after that game in their quarterback because he did, and I know you're going to talk about it, everything Wild says he does. I have less faith in the overall quality of that Eagles roster than I've had at any point in the last 3 years. So I have less faith, Brew, and I do not think they're going to defend their NFC championship.
That's a soundbite from First Things First this afternoon. Nick Wright. First of all, the take of, well, that team's not going to win a second straight Super Bowl. You're probably right. You would probably be right. If your take on a sports talk show was that team's not winning a Super Bowl, you'd probably be right. Only one team's going to win it, and we've seen it's very, very difficult. It's very uncommon that teams repeat. So if we were just playing the numbers, chances are the Eagles aren't going to repeat. But to me, that's not the point today. I was actually very impressed by the Eagles last night. Losing their best player before the game even starts, I think he's their best player. You could argue, well, Saquon, okay, well, 1A, 1B, whatever. They lost their most important defensive player, and they were a defensive first team, at least through the playoffs last year. That's how they won the big games. And I view them as a defensive first team, although they have plenty of offensive talent too. I watched the Eagles last night and said, they didn't even play that good. And they still kind of controlled the game. And I don't know if won comfortably is the right word, but they were still able to win a game that featured a weather delay, that featured an ejection of their best player. And Jalen Hurts, as I mentioned at the beginning of the show, continues to be, I think, an important lesson that a lot of young, more talented quarterbacks could learn, where it's like, hey, I don't need to be the superstar all the time. I don't need to be hitting home runs all the time. Jalen Hurts, better than any quarterback I can think of in recent memory, adapts his play style, adapts his aggressiveness, adapts what he's doing to what the game requires. And I think that's such an important lesson that a lot of quarterbacks should learn. So Very impressed with Jalen Hurts. I don't think he's the most talented or the best quarterback in football, but he plays the quarterback position, I think, just about as well as anybody, which might be more important at the end of the day. And maybe Brady Rodgers taught us that years ago, and it's just taking me a little while to figure out. Free phones. It's a Friday, so whatever you want to talk about, whether it's opening night last night, any Packers lines, things that we discussed with Ryan Wood. There's a little Brewers news. Yelich is out of the lineup again tonight, so we can cover that too. 608-321-1670. Wisco Sports Show. Who's this?
Eric on I-9.
Good evening, Eric. You've kind of had a strong presence this week.
I've been bringing it.
Yes, you have.
And it's an exciting time of the year. And hey, I loved that game last night. That was a good game, and I was equally impressed with Dallas.
Yeah,
hanging in there. Yeah. And that and the lesson there is don't be the second spitter, right?
Yeah.
Don't.
They always catch the second spitter or the second shooter.
Right.
Although maybe depending on what you believe with JFK, maybe not always the second guy. They catch the first. But last night they caught the second.
And I mean, what technology to actually even see that little bit of spittle come out and hit him on like his shoulder pad. I mean, 10 years ago we wouldn't even seen it. We would not have been able to tell what happened. We wouldn't. They could have totally made up what happened.
No, or, I think, 15, 20 years ago, the play that the Lambeau leap was born, like Reggie White was standing out of bounds, or like that famous Jerry Rice non-fumble. Like those are things that just wouldn't fly today. And not only do we get most of those calls right in 2025, we also get 3 or 4 different angles of a slow motion loogie hitting Dak Prescott in the chest.
Right. Was that like an old TV show where they were zoom in on it? Oh, zoom in again. Zoom in on that pixel.
Give me that.
And there it goes. Yeah, there it is. There's the stick. We got him. And it's like that asteroid hit the moon a couple of weeks ago. Looked like a bigger deal than that spittle from the naked eye.
Mm-hmm.
It was like so. That first run for a touchdown.
Yeah.
That the quarterback, and I could have ran that in. When he had to dive in the end zone, I probably wouldn't have made that one. But
you might have come up a little bit short on the second one. Is that what you're saying?
I would have come up a little bit short on that corner run.
Okay.
But the other one, it was wide open. He didn't. Listen, we can't sit and marvel at his decision making when it's so obvious.
Well,
like nobody.
On a couple of those, I completely agree. Eric, have an awesome weekend. It's nice to hear from you again. That's another lesson to be learned from Jalen Hurts last night. And I thought of Jordan Love because my brain is so conditioned by this 2-hour show. I thought of Vagabond John because, of course, I did, right? And all the conversations that we've had about Jordan Love's willingness or lack thereof to scramble and to pick up yards. And Jalen Hurts last night gave us so many great examples of the free yards that are often there for a quarterback if they're just willing to tuck it and run for 7 or 8 yards. I'm not talking about a 20, 25 yard sprint or not even necessarily a run for a touchdown, although he had 2 of those last night. I'm talking about 1st and 10. The opponent is rushing 4. You're in 12 personnel, very run-of-the-mill play, 1st and 10 from your own 30. The pass rushers create a nice little bubble around you. You go through all your reads. Nothing is there. You slide to the right. Still nothing there. And you realize, there's 8 yards if I just run forward and slide. And that doesn't seem like a huge game-changing significant play, but it turns a potential 2nd and 10 into a 2nd and 3, which keeps the playbook wide open, keeps you ahead of the sticks, which is something that's really important for this Packers team. Especially, and they're I would consider the Packers a running first team like the Eagles with Josh Jacobs, who I think is their best player on offense, right? I'd much rather this Packers team be in 2nd and 3 than 2nd and 10. So I think last night's game set the touchdowns to the side. Last night's game, Jalen Hurts and what the Eagles offense did, littered with examples of, sometimes you just got to tuck it and go. And you're not always going to move the sticks, and you're not always going to score touchdowns, but you're going to keep your offense in rhythm and on schedule, and you're going to avoid 2nd and 3rd and long. There's free yards for quarterbacks who are just willing to scramble to pick them up. Now, I have mixed feelings about, and Bobby and Menominee texted, I think I saw him tweeting about this last night too. I saw Bobby tweet something last night. It's like, we should just not let quarterbacks run past the line of scrimmage. It's childish, it's schoolyardish, it's boring, it's not why I'm watching. So I would agree. Like, I want to watch my quarterback be a pocket passer. And if you're going to run the ball, I want to see it with Saquon Barkley or Josh Jacobs. I agree. Sometimes it gets a little schoolyardish, but that's the way the game works. That's the way that it's played. So if the Cowboys defense is going to get too deep and their pass rush loses contain, if you can pick up 7 or 8 yards on 1st and 10 to put yourself in 2nd and 3 instead of 2nd and 10, and now you're behind the sticks, quarterback should be more willing to do that. And those aren't runs that are risking life and limb. They're not runs that are ending in a dive for the pylon. Nothing like that. It's just, there's a bunch of space in front of me. I'm going to pick up what I conveniently and safely can, and then I'm going to go down, and my offense is going to be in a better spot because of it. We're going to stay in rhythm, and we're going to stay on time, and we're going to stay ahead of the sticks. Another good example, another good lesson to be learned for our Packers and for Jordan Love last night, watching the Eagles and Jalen Hurts. 608-321-1670. We're going to take a break. And in hour number 2, I want to share with you some of the latest reporting about Tyler Dunne. Or not about Tyler Dunne, but it was by Tyler Dunne, friend of show, Go Long. He's got a long story about some of the dysfunction between the Bears and the Caleb Williams last year. So, excuse me, I got the burps. So I'll share that with you to begin hour number 2. But let's take one more call here before we go to our break. Wisco Sports Show, who's this?
Dean, 30 seconds.
What's up, Dean?
Hey, so this might be off topic, but that's how we roll.
That's fine.
The game last night, I was thinking of when Scotty Scheffler was talking about, like, even if you reach the pinnacle of winning, a tournament, a Masters, a whatever, then you're just going back to it the next day, and it's really not that great to be on top. And I was thinking to myself with those Eagles fans last night, maybe I'm just bitter. I could be accused of that.
Mm-hmm.
But, that was the pinnacle of football fandom and celebration, is singing their song at the top of their lungs and having the horde there for the first game of the year. But that's it. And it's like, it kind of gives perspective for, this is the best the world of humans can offer, is that you kind of, you get to stand there and strut around a little bit for maybe 6 months, and then that's it. So
yeah,
I don't know. I feel like the Eagles fans, are kind of jerks to begin with, so maybe I'm also biased against them. But
that's fine.
Good for them. They got their 6 months, and now it is over.
Yeah,
so whatever.
Right, and that's the hope. Yeah, especially as Packers fans. Dean, I appreciate it. Have a good weekend. I also think maybe that dynamic played into how the game went a little bit last night. There's so much pomp and circumstance, and there's so much excitement, and the Eagles are, all right, let's roll out the helmets. We should kick the crap out of the Cowboys. But then Jalen Carter gets ejected, which makes it weird. And then there's that weather delay, which makes it even weirder. So I think obviously if Jalen Carter doesn't get ejected, it's better for the Eagles. He might be their best player, but also like the flow of the game and the energy of the game was disrupted in such a way that to me can only benefit the Cowboys. Like there's no way that benefits the Eagles at that home with that crowd and that amount of energy. We'll take our final break of the hour here. We'll come back, wrap up hour number 1 next.
This is the Wisco Sports Show with Grant Bills on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
The Zone Blitz pregame bash is back. Every Wisconsin home game 2 hours before kickoff at the Blue Moon Bar and Grill. And this year, do I have something special for you? It's a perfect snack for game day or any day. Wenzel's Farm Pro Snack Sticks. Come see me and I'll hand you 16 grams of protein, fuel you through the day. Wenzel's Farm offers that and so much. Meat perfectly seasoned and naturally hardwood smoke. Check out wenzelsfarm.com. Made by pros for pros.
The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 3 minutes. The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 30 seconds.
Wisco Sports Show, last couple minutes of the hour. Quick mention to the Brewers. The Cubs won today. And I would just like to say, look, I love pulling against the Cubs, mostly because of Craig Counsell. And they're a rival, but I especially want them to lose, mostly just because of Craig Counsell. I get a little annoyed when this always seems to come up on the radio broadcast. I haven't noticed it as much on TV, but I don't watch the games as much as I've been listening to them the last couple of weeks. And the Brewers could be they could be struggling and failing to put anything together as they did yesterday. And it's clear they're not playing well, and it's clear the game isn't going well. But I got to listen to Mauer or Grindle, who I like. But it's like, you know what? I don't want an update about, well, the Cubs are losing. It's like, hey, there's a game going on right now. So, like, I'm paying attention to the Cubs. Don't get me wrong. But, like, as the Brewers strand second and third with nobody out, because Andrew Monasterio or Danny Jansen can't put the ball in play, like, this is not the time I want to be reminded of what my division rival is doing, winning or losing. Like, if they're winning, I don't care. If they're losing, it does nothing for me. Keep it to yourself. But the Cubs did win today. Kyle Tucker seems like maybe his calf isn't trending the right way. That's what Counsell kind of alluded to after the game. Christian Yelich's back is trending the right way, but not trending fast enough. We were told that he was expected to be in the lineup tonight. He is not. Pat Murphy on Christian Yelich. This is from Todd Rosiak. Mild improvement, but not there yet. And he also added, we want the best version of him. And I'm wondering, it's like, okay, so this will be what, the third or the fourth straight game that he's missed? Like, at what point do you IL him? Retroactive to whatever. No, I don't know who you'd use the lineup spot on. I don't know. But I wonder at what point do they say, okay, we're just going to put him on the 10-day IL? Which, this is also why I'm skeptical of anything Pat Murphy says about injuries. It's not too bad. Pat Murphy would tell someone with stage 4 pancreatic cancer, it's like, I think it'll be okay. It's like, probably not, Pat. It's just, Christian Yelich, just his routine back tightness. He'll be back in the lineup tomorrow. Okay, well, I'll believe that when I see it tomorrow. And he's not back in the lineup yet. So that's on the table. We'll talk more about the NFL in hour number 2 coming up next.
This is a Wisconsin Sports Zone update.
Well, the Packers hit the field earlier today for the final practice before Sunday's season opener against Detroit at Lambeau Field. For a second straight day, all 53 players were on the field. That included linebacker Micah Parsons, who's battling a back injury he first started dealing with during training camp down in Dallas. He's listed as questionable for Sunday's game, but he is motivated to get out there against the Lions.
I never liked Detroit. I never liked them. Even when I was in Dallas, it was just always a heavyweight fight every time they came in. And they kind of got our guys when I was injured last year, or the whole team was injured. And so, I just think it's a funny way how things work. I'm excited to play him, and it's going to go all 12 to 15 rounds.
Other players listed as questionable include Jaden Reed, Nate Hobbs, and Dontavian Wicks. Again, it'll be the Packers and Lions on Sunday at Lambeau Field. Green Bay, a 1.5-point favorite. Kick is set for 325. Turn to the Badgers. They will face Middle Tennessee State tomorrow afternoon as they look to get to 2-0. Wisconsin going to be rolling with backup quarterback Danny O'Neal following the injury to starter Billy Edwards Jr. O'Neal came in for Edwards against Miami of Ohio, throwing for 120 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 interception. Also ran for a touchdown. Tomorrow is set for 3.
Mutual Insurance.
Rural Mutual Insurance is the #1 farm insurer. Did you know they also offer competitive home, auto, business, and life insurance? They make it convenient to bundle your insurance while saving you time and money. Visit ruralmutual.com to learn more.
Rural Mutual Insurance, keeping Wisconsin strong.
Well, the Brewers back out on the road tonight as they open a series with Pittsburgh. Quinn Priester get the ball for the Crew. He's 11-2 with a 3.28 ERA. Pirates counter with Johan Jovito. He's 2-0 with a 3.60 ERA. First pitch out there, 5:40. With this Wisconsin Sports Zone Network update, I'm Zach Heil.
The touchbacks now come out to the 35-yard
Unsportsmanlike
line.
conduct. Defense number 98. Number 98 defense actions has disqualified him from the game.
Whoa.
15-yard penalty.
Whoa.
First down.
So Jalen Carter, the focus and the star for the Eagles on the front line, out for the game before snap. Here he goes. He walks there in front of Dak Prescott. Did he spit? Did he spit on him? I think he did. And the official was right there to throw the flag, who was keeping an eye on that confrontation. No idea, obviously, what was said, but Jalen Carter out of this game before a snap. Chris, first of all, I got no idea what he's thinking. And second, this is massive in terms of the game.
I got to tell you, he's the best player they have on their defense. And about 80% of what we were going to talk about on this broadcast, because to beat the Philadelphia Eagles, you have to double team Jalen Carter. And it's almost like Micah Parsons now gone from the Cowboys. Same impact now with Jalen Carter gone.
Detroit, in both games that we played them, we got behind way too early, and that's hard to do against a really good football team. Costly turnovers in both games that ended up being critical plays.
This is where Wisconsin gathers to talk sports. Packers, Brewers, Badgers, Bucks. The Wisco Sports Show is on the air. Now, here's your host, Grant Bills.
All right, it's a Fins Up Friday. It's a free phones Friday. So get back to your phone calls here in just a minute. 3 or 4 open phone lines. You won't have to wait too long. 608-321-1670. But first, a couple of texts on the Brewers. This is Nate Naciola. Says, Grant, Murphy is somehow managing this team to nowhere. Someone needs to tie him down, parentheses, Ricky, when the lineup card is due. Look. So I bet dollars to donuts that the lineup is mostly set by the front office anyways. And the lineups are hardly my issue. The issue is that Danny Jansen is on this team. Like, he's going to play against Suarez yesterday as a righty. Like, it's just, he's on the team, so he's going to play, as much as I hated it, right? Same with Terang or Monasterio. Like, lefties have just been so poor against Suarez. Monasterio is going to play over Terang. Sal Frelick's hurt. Now, the thing that gets my goat with Murphy is that he runs relievers into the ground. And I don't think the front office is making calls to the bullpen. I do think they're setting the lineup. And for the most part, I think that's standard across the league. Not to say that the manager has no input, but I don't think that like in Moneyball, when, Philip Seymour Hoffman's character, Art Howe, was like, the lineup card is still mine, Billy. I don't think that's the way that it works in baseball anymore. I also don't know that their lineup has really been their issue. It's been injuries, and their pitching's either gassed or injured, like many members of their offense. Sal Frelick actively working through something, and Christian Yelich working through something. Contreras has been working through something all year. Jackson Churio clearly doesn't trust that hamstring. So that, to me, that's a bigger deal than any decisions that the front office, I believe, is making with the lineup card. I don't think that's Murphy's responsibility anyways. 608-321-1670. Back to your phone calls. We're going to get to a Caleb Williams story in just a little bit, but first we can kick around some Packers Lions talking points, react to opening night, or whatever is on your mind with the Brewers as they prepare to now play the Pirates tonight. 608-321-1670. Wisco Sports Show. Who's this?
Southside Scott.
Hey, Scott, what's going on? Sorry I cut you off a little faster the other day than maybe, but we were in a time crunch. You want to talk about the Rockies, Scott? I'm not going to do 10 minutes on the Rockies with you.
No, don't worry. I wouldn't want to do 10 minutes on the Rockies either. So don't worry about that.
All right, I'm glad. No hard feelings.
No, of course not, bud.
Okay, good.
I was actually calling about Yelich.
Okay.
Because I remember I called like last season when he had his back injury, and it's like, is it time to let him go because of this? And now here we are, September, leading up to the playoffs, for World Series stuff, but yet his back is again a problem? Is that a worry for his future going on?
Like this year or long term?
Long term. Obviously this year, but past this year as well.
Well, I would think so.
If this lingers on, should they keep him if this continues to linger on?
I mean, they're not going to have an option with that contract. Yeah, I mean, if he's unable to finish the season because of his back 2 years in a row, then yeah, that's a massive problem moving forward. Absolutely.
Right.
And then you question like, well, is he can he even play every day? At that point, he's just not an everyday player.
I mean, he's had decent numbers this year, but nothing stellar. Not that I could tell. He's not. I don't think he's a batter now that pitchers fear as much as they used to.
Yeah, I would agree. Yes.
They still fear him a bit because they know he has the power and everything, but he's not that dynamic going, oh, here comes Yelich, just pitch around him anymore.
Yeah, well, they certainly don't have to pitch around him. He just can't catch up to pitches. I was watching some highlights, Scott, the other night, and I appreciate the call, of home runs that he was hitting against the Cardinals in 2018 or 2019. And he's taking like top of the zone fastballs and pulling them out to right. Like every once in a while he'll do that, but it's pretty uncommon. Yeah, if his back's jacked up and he can't finish the year, that's a massive issue, Scott. Not to be dismissive of your question, but rather to emphasize what you're getting at. Like, yeah, it's the second straight year that he's played pretty well, but hasn't been able to finish the year. And like the Brewers have done a nice job. Contreras has been a great piece, better when he's healthy, which has been few and far between because they've allowed him to play with a broken hand 2 years in a row for some reason. Churrio's obviously a big piece. But if you can't trust Yelich to be in the lineup every day and you can't trust him to be healthy in September, then I don't know how you look at this lineup and what they've been building and say, yeah, you have a chance to win a championship with that. You got to go out and add then. And I'm wondering if at what point the Brewers look around baseball and try to do the thing that they did with Yelich in the first place. Take a swing on a young, developing guy who they think could turn into a superstar and bring him in, which I guess is kind of what they did with Contreras, but it was more of a roundabout trade than yet. Like Yelich, it was clear, we love that guy a lot. We want him. We think there's more there. Like, I wonder at what point do they maybe try to swing something similar to that now? What would it be, 7 or 8 years after the fact? Because yeah, if he can't finish the season, like I don't know how you can look at the remaining pieces and be like, yeah, that can win a World Series. Yelich's health and Yelich performing well in the postseason is a big part of any path or any circumstance in which the Brewers win multiple playoff series and go deep into October. 608-321-1670, Wisco Sports Show. Who's this?
Grant, Jeremy, how's it going?
I am excellent, Jeremy. How about you?
I'm doing well, man. There's never a better time to be a Wisconsinite than this time of year right now.
Sure.
We've got Brewer baseball coming to a crescendo. We're still
Is that what's going on?
In a good spot.
Is that what we're witnessing? You're gonna have to sell me on that idea just a little bit, Jeremy.
Well, I mean, we're still in a good spot with the Brewers.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. I mean, they still have the best record in baseball. I mean, things are, I'm not going to lie, shaky. I agree with your point on the pitching. I mean, that's probably the biggest concern for me right now is how the bullpen's being managed.
Mm-hmm.
Starters are getting leaned on pretty heavy as well, and we're getting thin there, But, to piggyback on the other caller, yeah, I mean, other players are going to have to step up this time of year. Like Turang has been amazing. He's going to need more of that if we even have a prayer.
If Turang can be a middle of the order guy the rest of the year, yeah, that'll help if Yelich isn't able to play every day or play at an elite level for sure. Yeah, Turang. Right. I mean, imagine where they'd be right now over the last month without Turang's production.
Oh, I know. Yeah, I mean, we'd be swimming. So, but I wanted to switch gears and talk football because I know you kind of wanted to hit that direction. But you guys kind of beat me to it with the second spitter. Comment earlier. That was pretty funny. The grassy knoll reference there.
The grassy knoll. Some pretty incredible entertainment value to begin the game last night. Yeah.
I wanted to posit this because when I was talking to other people about it, all I had to say is this: can you imagine, given everything we've heard today about it, could you imagine if that score was flipped and they lost by 4? Oh, I mean, there'd be pitchforks and torches. It would be it would be pretty bad. So, but I'm excited. Like I said, this time of year in Wisconsin, we get to watch the Brewers play Sunday from 12:35, I think, first pitch. Right after that game ends, we get to watch Packers Week 1, Lambeau, Detroit Lions. And we've got arguably the best edge rusher. Hopefully he is good to go and plays well. And more importantly for me, I'm excited about our first round draft pick wide receiver who's listed as a starter.
Isn't it pretty crazy that story has not disappeared, but like we don't even talk about that or think about that anymore. You know what I mean? Imagine going back to April and saying, hey, Packers fans, Matthew Golden won't be the biggest story come the end of the offseason. That's pretty
right.
Cool. I wouldn't have been able to imagine.
I'm really excited about it. I hope he plays really well. I mean, we're not talking about a guy that's week one. He's going to get some reps. He'll be sitting on the sideline, but he's going to get some plays. No, he's listed as a starter. Like that's big. That's big for me. So I hope he plays well.
And showed really well at every opportunity. Jeremy, I appreciate the call. We get to watch the Brewers on Sunday. I would say we have the opportunity if we'd like to take it, or we have to watch the Brewers on Sunday. We get to watch the Badgers tomorrow. I'm more excited about the Zone Blitz pregame bash at the Blue Moon. I'm going to go down there and see Ebo. And I don't know if you've been following along with our network start to finish. Typically, there will be stories from Over the Line that make it into Bill's show. The stories very rarely trickle all the way down to this show. But I guess Kate is throwing a big party at her house tomorrow. And I'm trying to convince Ebo to go with me after the Zone Blitz pregame bash. And Ebo, we need each other in this situation because if I go to Kate's college party with Ebo, I'm hanging out with coworkers. Without Ebo, or Ebo without me, then it's just grown adult men going to a college party. And while there's no rules that says you can't do that, it's just I don't know. I don't know that I should. I don't know that I want to do that. But if Ebo's involved, I'm in. The Badgers do play tomorrow. Yes, I am more excited about the Zone Blitz pregame bash. 608-321-1670. One more call here. Wisco Sports Show. Who's this?
This is Louie in Eau Claire.
Hey, what's going on, Louie?
Happy Friday, Grant.
Happy Friday.
I don't want to put a damper on the this fun Friday, but you were talking about Danny Jansen earlier and kind of being frustrated as to kind of what exactly he does for the Brewers. I looked it up and I kind of thought the same thing. They've lost 6 of the last 7 games that he's appeared in. And most of the time they're scoring 3 runs or less when he's in the lineup. And sometimes I know William Contreras still DHs when he plays. But that leads me to wonder, do you think the pitchers aren't quite as comfortable throwing to him either? Not only is he not producing on offense, but maybe he's not pitch framing quite as well, or maybe not quite as in sync with William Contreras. That's what I didn't understand about the Eric Haas trade. Or when they traded for him, getting rid of Eric Haas, I assumed that he was going to be a little better on offense than Eric Haas, which if he is, it's only marginal at best. Yeah. And then you had Eric Haas for a half season building rapport with your pitchers, and like that just can't be replaced in one fell swoop. What do you think?
Well, and last year too, right? He's been around the club now for a couple of years. What I don't get about the Danny Jansen, Eric Haas thing is if you want to upgrade a backup catcher and give yourself the ability to give more days to William Contreras, fine. I can understand the spirit of that just fine. But then upgrade at catcher. You know what I mean, Louie? Like if you're going to go get a different guy with the idea of upgrading that position over Eric Haas, then you have to get someone who's better than Eric Haas. And it's not like Danny Jansen was lighting it up in the first half and has now gone ice cold. Like he's just kind of who he is. And I still don't really understand the thought process behind that. Eric Haas was beloved in the clubhouse. Those guys were not happy when he was not traded away, but replaced essentially. And Danny Jansen, you said they've lost 6 of their last 7 games in which Danny Jansen has started. Did you go back and dig that up?
6 of the 7 that he's played, and he started 6 of those games. I think one was like a pinch hit appearance, and then I think it was kind of a game where he caught like the 7th through the 9th inning or something like that. But yeah, 6 of the last 7 that he's played in and all, they've lost, and he started 6 of those games.
I don't know what we're going to do, Louie. Have a good weekend. I appreciate the call. Look, Danny Jansen is not, let me be clear. I'll complain about Danny Jansen because I never really got the move in the first place. And his opening presser was a massive red flag because the Brewers beat his meeting with him. Hey, welcome to Milwaukee. The team's lighting the world on fire. Happy to have you. And you're from Appleton, Danny. How cool is this for you? You grew up a baseball fan in Wisconsin and a Brewers fan. It's got to be pretty cool, right? And Danny Jansen basically was like, well, I grew up a Cubs fan, so whatever. He's like, lie, man. Lie. lie about that. It's not that growing up a Cubs fan is the worst thing in the world. Who cares? It's just such an easy thing to lie about. You know what I mean? It's just such an and lying is wrong. Yeah, let me be clear, lying is wrong. But sometimes lying is fine. Just nobody cares anyways, man. You're a backup catcher. No one's going to look it up. No one's going to dig back through. Hey, we need to go through Danny Jansen's old, photo albums. We're going to dig up something of him in a Cubs jersey. No one cares, dude. You're Danny Jansen. The only reason anyone cares is if you openly talk about it in a press conference. Just say, hey, man, I grew up in Wisconsin. We'd go to baseball games. We'd go to Miller Park growing up. We'd go down to Wrigley. I grew up a baseball fan in the state. How cool is it to be, playing for my fellow residents of this state? It's great. It's cool. Just say that. Well, I don't know. I was a Cubs fan. It's whatever. Just the biggest lack of aura I've ever seen. What a stick in the mud. So that was, but back to my original point. Danny Jansen is not the reason the Brewers are losing games. He's the backup catcher. It's the fact that they identified him and went out to get him, supposedly to upgrade backup catcher, and he looks worse than Eric Haas has ever looked to the eye test. I don't know what the numbers would say. I don't care. I'm not digging into that. It's more been the health of Yelich, the slight drop off or I guess it's more than slight. I think Andrew Vaughn has still done good things. The results have not been there. And his performance has tailed off a little bit. The injuries to the bullpen, the lack of length from the starters. You could list 10, 20 things before Danny Jansen, but Danny Jansen annoys the hell out of me. So that's just what's been sticking in my craw. We've talked about it on the radio. All right, let's take a break. We'll come back. A couple closing thoughts on the NFL's opening night, a couple preliminary thoughts on the NFL's second night, I guess, with the Chargers and the Chiefs playing in Brazil tonight. And the game is on YouTube, I guess. I assumed it was on Peacock again, but I guess it's on YouTube. So we'll wrap up our NFL conversations about last night, Cowboys-Eagles, a couple of thoughts on tonight. And then at 5:30, I want to get into this new Caleb Williams story that Tyler Dunne published today. So a lot of Packers talk, a lot of NFL talk moving forward as we continue the show next.
This is the Wisco Sports Show with Grant Bills on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
The Zone Blitz pregame bash is back. Every Wisconsin home game 2 hours before kickoff at the Blue Moon Bar and Grill. And this year, do I have something special for you? It's a perfect snack for game day or any day. Wenzel's Farm Pro Snack Sticks. Come see me and I'll hand you 16 grams of protein to fuel you through the day. Wenzel's Farm offers that and so much more, crafted in small batches using premium cuts of meat, perfectly seasoned, and naturally hardwood smoked. Check out wenzelsfarm.com. Made by pros for pros.
The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 3 minutes. Wisco Sports Show will resume in 2 minutes. The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 1 minute. The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 30 seconds.
All right, Wisco Sports Show. I want to talk more about the NFL's opening night, and this Caleb Williams story is hilarious. Tyler Dunne has done it again, pulling back the curtain of some real drama in an organization. He's done it before. He did it with the Bills. Remember the 9/11 story where Sean McDermott was like using 9/11 as like, I don't know, a motivational speech. Remember that one? And then, of course, the Mike McCarthy massage story. So we'll get into that as well. But I saw Kate Fox walking by, and Kate, I was just talking about your soiree that's coming up on, tomorrow.
Yeah, I mean, it's coming up soon, Grant.
So here's what we have going on tomorrow. And we talked about this on the morning show, but what I said is a lot of times the morning show stories will flow over into Bill's show,
Right.
but then they die. So like,
we don't need them to be in the cemetery yet.
yeah, like we can discuss this on the evening show a little bit. So tomorrow, the Zone Blitz pregame bash, 2 hours before kick. So what does that mean?
1 to 3.
1 to 3 tomorrow. Yep, at the Blue Moon. And you can come get some Wenzel Farm snack sticks, and it's going to be a blast. But then I was talking with Ebo. Well, maybe, we could kick around town a little bit. And then you piped up the other morning and said, well, I'm throwing a party.
Well, yeah.
A little bit of a function.
One thing that I love in life, bringing people together, having a party, Grant.
Is that what it's about, bringing people together?
Yeah.
Okay.
Engaging in a few drinks and celebrating the Badgers,
Of course.
So I do need to tell you, and I think the people listening will know how sometimes college kids, they'll put the big signs up, and they're honestly sort of hilarious sometimes.
Like banners across the porch?
That's right. Across the porch with the spray paint. Well, I went to Hobby Lobby today, had a little bit of a mishap because they don't accept Apple Pay.
Why would they accept Apple Pay?
Grant, everywhere accepts Apple Pay.
Okay, well, I've tried to make Apple Pay work on my phone multiple times, so I guess I'm not the...
You don't even have Apple Pay working?
No, I have Venmo.
What?
I don't need Apple Pay. I carry my wallet with me.
Okay, well, whatever. I think it's way easier to have your card on your phone, but that doesn't matter.
Sure.
So I get the spray paint after I go to find a physical card of mine somewhere deep, dark into the abyss of my car. Jesus. And then I get to spray painting, and I thought I bought a big enough sheet because I bought it 2 yards by 2 yards. So 6 feet by 6 feet. I get to my house. I go to hang it up on my porch, which really should be a man's thing, but beside me, whatever.
No one offered to do this for you?
Well, I mean, I live with 2 other girls and whatever.
There's no man around. Okay.
Nope. Everyone's single. It's quite a travesty. Anyways, it's not big enough. So as we're speaking, my friend is going to the store and we are getting a bigger sign to hang on my house, which if you come by, you should post on Twitter.
I will.
Yeah.
We'll have to turn it into content. Is the
That's
message
right.
that you're spray painting suitable to say on the radio?
I don't know about that.
What do you mean you don't?
Well, didn't I tell you what it was a little bit earlier?
No, I don't think so.
Oh, well, it's a good message. It has to do with Middle Tennessee, but instead of Middle Tennessee, we just went to mid-top. And then it's also about Coach Fickle and a mom. And
how long was this message?
It's not long. I just don't really want to say it. Do you think I can?
No. I just prefer we can just skip it.
Yeah, well, that's going to be fun. But we're also having a keg. We're having Jello shots.
So there's a keg.
Yeah, free keg.
And college kids your age are drinking beer. You're 21, right?
Yeah, I'm 21. I'm not, but other people
I
are.
feel like a lot of 21-year-olds don't drink beer. Well, they sip beer, but beer is something you kind of age into.
I think beer is absolutely horrific.
See, there you go. Yeah, that's it. So you have a keg. You'll have Jello shots.
We'll have a keg. We made 200 Jello shots.
Okay.
And we take cherry bombs very often, but we like to call them Eagle bombs since, we go to Edgewood College. And so that's going to be exciting. You can partake in an Eagle bomb, Grant.
Well, I went to UWL. We are the UWL Eagles, so it fits. By the
Give
way,
or
we're
take.
Eagle. I've never thought about that before. Fist bump across the studio. For
Hello.
that. So you're starting at what time tomorrow?
9:30.
You're going to be...
No, I'm not going to be blitzed by the time you're coming.
You will be. Well, Bill and I talked about this today. Did he give you he gave you some advice? Did he just tell me that he gave you advice?
I think he might have just said that. Something that radio people do sometimes.
Basically, I would never. Basically, what he said was, what we settled on was, be the person who puts the lampshade on your head, not the person who falls into the lamp and breaks it. Can you handle that until 3 o'clock?
I can
tomorrow
do that
if Ebo
until 3 o'clock. And then I talked about Grant has really never been down to State Street, in which some people don't like going down there, but I think it's something you absolutely have to do once.
I mean, I've been down there. When do I go down there, Kate? When am I supposed to go down there? I went there for a couple times in college for like Freak Fest. That was fun.
Freak Fest isn't even a thing anymore.
Well, did the pandemic kill it?
I think it was killed before that because there were a lot of freaks.
Well,
literally, but also figuratively. Yeah. And there were some serious problems with that.
Well, this is why I'm a Willie Street guy. It's a little slower and the parking's better. You have to admit.
This is why you get the comments on the stream sometimes, Grant.
I'm going to ignore that you said that. Will there be ample parking at your place tomorrow if you want to?
There really won't be.
What if we take the zone van and park it in your yard?
That could be humongous. But remember, we told the listeners we weren't going to give them an address. That would give a pretty specific place. But again, listeners, if you're a morning show listener or if this is the first time, if you want to come hang out, you can. Absolutely. You're welcome to. But I am not giving out my address on air. So just make sure to find me.
If they DM you, is it okay for them to DM you and ask?
They can DM me and ask.
Okay. And what's your Twitter handle?
I would probably DM me on Instagram because I don't check Twitter very often. I know, Grant, it's a horrible thing to stay in the sports talk world, but my Instagram is Kate Gunderson12. But my Twitter, if you want to DM me, maybe I'll check, is Kate Fox Sports. So either way.
And you'll be at the Q tailgate tomorrow? No, you're not going to any tailgate.
I'm not going to any tailgate. I'm going to be at my own tailgate. We also bought a brand new beer dye table that somebody handcrafted.
So I was introduced to this at a bachelor party. That's a Madison thing. I had never heard of beer dye. You just throw it up and you try to catch it. Well, it's not. I never saw a single person throwing dice in the air and trying to bounce it off a table.
Kind of fun though.
No, it looked really fun. I was in a walking boot, so I couldn't. I don't have the agility.
Yeah.
Before you go, are the Packers going to win Sunday?
No. Sorry.
We should have started with that. Well, Kate, it was a pleasure. I know you have things to do. Thank you for stopping by. This was fun.
Thanks for hanging out, Grant. And I am going to go finish up the traffic and then get to the Sylvie.
Yeah, how's the Beltline, by the way? Is it okay?
The Beltline is tough right now. Okay, there's been an accident on Fitch Hatch going westbound. Eastbound, they all want to stare and look at it, so it's very slow as well. I'm hoping that when I get back there, these 5 minutes will have given it a little time to clear. So we'll see.
Well, I appreciate that. You go handle important things. We're going to talk more about. We're going to talk more about the NFL opener and tonight coming up next.
This is the Wisco Sports Show with Grant Bills on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
The Zone Blitz pregame bash is back. Home game 2 hours before kickoff at the Blue Moon Bar and Grill. And this year, do I have something special for you? It's a perfect snack for game day or any day. Wenzel's Farm Pro Snack Sticks. Come see me and I'll hand you 16 grams of protein to fuel you through the day. Wenzel's that and so much more, crafted in small batches using premium cuts of meat, perfectly seasoned, and naturally hardwood smoked. Check out wenzelsfarm.com. Made by pros for pros.
Wisco Sports Show will resume in 5 minutes. Sports Show will resume in 2 minutes. The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 2 minutes. The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 1 minute. The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 30 seconds.
Wisco Sports Show. Kate Gunderson, a.k.a. Kate Fox, walking around the building. At this time of night, there's not a lot of people left in the building. You know, the morning show or Bill's show, there's Ebo, there's Kate, there's Zach. Hey, come in, talk for 5 minutes, blah, blah, blah. For the most part, I'm here mostly alone for 2 hours a night, which is fine. But if I see Kate walking by, it's like, hey, hop on for 5 minutes. So as I apologize on the live stream, I know you guys have come to expect only the highest octane sports talk. Sorry, talked a little bit about the festivities of tomorrow, a little grab ass about the Zone Blitz pregame bash, which will be tomorrow with the Blue Moon from 1 to 3. But then trying to figure out if I want to go to Kate's soiree or not. Ebo's going to have to go with me and vice versa because I'm not going to a college party alone, and Ebo should definitely not go to a college party alone. It's funny. Bill's got, is he at Stenny's again tomorrow? He had something going on this weekend. I can't remember. Bill's like, but if not, I mean, I'd be there. It's like, oh, Bill, you want to go to a college party? I go to a college party with Bill. Because if I go with Ebo or Ebo and Bill, it's coworkers enjoying a Badger tailgate. If I go by myself, I'm just at a college party with a bunch of 21-year-old girls, which probably shouldn't do. So Kate giving us a little bit of an update on what she's trying to paint on a bed sheet. Still not fully sure. It sounded like a complex message. So I'm going to have to circle back and figure out. Maybe I'll post a picture of that tomorrow. And the State Street discourse. Right now, I'm a Willie Street man myself. I'm not anti-State Street. I just don't like going to bars where everyone's like significantly younger than me. I don't mind young people in the bar. My favorite bars when I went to school at UW La Crosse and then lived there for a couple of years after were the bars where you'd have some students. You'd have, people who just turned 21. You had some people who were like 22, 23. You had some people in their 30s. And then you had like 56-year-old regulars with bartenders that are both young and old, male and female. I like the nice mix. That's what I like, where I don't stand out for being older or younger. More of a Willie Street man in Madison for that reason. 3rd Street in La Crosse still has my heart. Rick, with strong commentary on the live stream, says that State Street is not as good as Water Street in Eau Claire. I got to be honest, I've never done a proper night out on Water Street, at least what I think. I have a buddy who used to live right across from the river, right on the other side of the walking path behind the Holiday. And on Christmas night, or like December 26th, we went to, oh, I feel horrible. It's Dooley's, right? And there's a bluegrass song called Dooley. So I'm unsure if I'm conflating the two. I've been listening to a lot of bluegrass. I think it's Dooley's, right? The Irish pub down there. And we had a blast. We were slugging Tom Collins or Bob Parker's or whatever. My friend ordered a bunch of these things, and I've never heard anyone else order them. And the literature online for this drink, I've never really been able to hammer down even what it was. I think it was like rum and cherry Coke, and you drink them fast. Bob Collins, Mike Collins, generic name. Anyways, that's really the only thing I've ever done on Water Street. Never done Pickle, never done Brothers. Although, did you see Don Mikowski was in Brothers last weekend? I saw some pictures circulating. I may have seen a story on WEAU today about how he was cited for some actions in Brothers Bar. It's not funny. I shouldn't laugh, but like, come on, man. Like, if I am uncomfortable going to Kate's party, Don Mikowski should be uncomfortable going to Brothers Bar on Water Street in Eau Claire. With all due to Eau Claire, like, that's not his environment. Eric asked if you've done College Avenue in Appleton. I have not. I have never. College Avenue in Appleton might be the best in Wisconsin. I don't know. I don't know. You gotta, if we're talking about stretches of bars, you gotta strike the balance between busy but not too busy. That's why, like, Brady Street can be a bit much for me. Water Street, I haven't been out on Water Street. Water Street's fun during the day. Water Street in Milwaukee is fun during the day. Like, if you get a nice fall or spring or summer afternoon, like sitting out on the back patio at the Harp is a ball. Like, there's plenty of places. I like being outside. It gets a little busy at night. That's just a me preference. Brady gets really busy, and then the cars fly through there at like 50. Not exactly my favorite spot. There's a couple places like a block off Brady that I really like. There's a Grateful Dead bar that's like a block back that I really like, and it's kind of off the beaten path just a little bit. It's a cool spot. But you need to strike that balance between busy enough to feel like, hey, I'm part of something, but not too busy where it's like, geez, this is a little, like, I could get easily separated from my friend if I stop paying attention. Like, that's where I draw the line. I know we have cell phones and we could reconnect, but you get my point, right? So I like 3rd Street. I like Willie Street in Madison. It's just a little slower, a little bit more spaced out than State Street. But Regent Street on game day, it's pretty tough to beat. Now, we'll be on University Ave at Blue Moon tomorrow. Thus concludes, by the way, our, I don't even know what that conversation about, our extension of our conversation that we started with Kate. One final thought on Cowboys Eagles, and then we'll do this Bears story in the final segment of the show. This is Nick Wright on First Things First earlier today. I have some thoughts to add to this, but this will kind of get the ball rolling again after the show came to a grinding halt.
That team is not getting back to the Super Bowl. That team, when it starts to go sideways and it starts to look like, oh yeah, they're not quite the same team, you know what's going to be said? Should have seen it coming. Remember how the year started? The first play of the season, they unluckily suffer an injury. And before the second play of the season, their best player on their defense is spitting on the league's highest paid player. Going into the year, if there was a concern, what was it? Pass rush and secondary. Immediately, first game of the year, it's like, ooh, yikes. Like, they don't look the same in that regard. And other bubbling potential stories going into the year, like if it got off right, well, what about A.J. Brown getting, being able to eat? Well, he had his career low in targets, all in the first game of the year against a team that none of us think is great. So I have, oddly, more faith after that game in their quarterback, because he did, and I know you're going to talk about it. Everything Loud says he does. I have less faith in the overall quality of that Eagles roster than I've had at any point in the last 3 years. So I have less faith, Brew. And I do not think they're going to defend their NFC championship.
So I agree that I came away very impressed with Jalen Hurts last night. I think Jalen Hurts is a good case study and a good story for other quarterbacks to watch. Quarterbacks who may have more arm talent, who may be better passers, quarterbacks who are thought of, if you were ranking players by, draft pedigree or just traits, right? If you were to enter all of these players now as prospects into a draft, and you had to rank arm talent and size and speed and accuracy and all these things, Jalen Hurts is not at the top of that list, right? But Jalen Hurts, not totally dissimilar to Tom Brady, has shown, at least to me, to my mind's eye, a real understanding for the circumstances of the game that he's in and what's required of him. And probably just as important, or maybe even more importantly, what's not required of him. What do I not need to do for my team to win this game? Like, where can I pull back a little bit? Where can I be a little bit more conservative? Now, Jalen Hurts is surrounded by an incredible amount of talent. Duh. I'm not saying you could drop Jalen Hurts on the Arizona Cardinals right now or the New England Patriots and he would lead them to the Super Bowl. That's not what I'm saying. But for his circumstance, and that's how every quarterback should view their job. That's how we view our jobs, right? I view my job as, what do I have to do today in my 9 to 5? Forget my friend Tim, who works in a different business, makes more or less money. Forget my friend Bobby. Like, what do I have to do today? That's how every quarterback should approach their job. Where are my team's strengths and weaknesses? What do I need to help out with? What do I need to kind of get out of the way of? Like, that's how quarterbacks should view the job that they're doing, because it is a job. They're the quarterback of a team, and every team is different. And I think Jalen Hurts has shown a real ability to recognize, okay, in this matchup on this day, I'm going to need to do a little bit more, or I'm actually okay to do a little bit less, and that might be best for my team. Now, last year, the Eagles, especially in the playoffs, were a defensive team. That's what led the thing. That D-line, that pass rush, Zach Bond, Quinyon Mitchell, Cooper DeJean, right? That was what led the team. They have really good players on offense, but the defense was their strength. That was their driving force throughout the postseason. Now, there were games that the Eagles played where Jalen Hurts had to do a little bit more, and then there were games where he didn't do as much. Situational awareness and situational execution, very important traits for a quarterback. Tom Brady kind of got that too. There were plenty of playoff games where he didn't do much. And then there were some where he really had to air it out because he realized that in this matchup, on this day, in this game, a little bit more is required of me. And I need to ask a little bit more of myself and make some more plays. And I think Jalen Hurts is really, really clearly been an example of situational awareness and situational execution as a quarterback. I don't know, if we're trying to, forecast how good the Eagles are going to be. I guess my one question about the Eagles is that defense going to be able to be as dominant this year as they were last year? I know they kept a lot of those guys. They lost like C.J. Gardner-Johnson and a couple, but Jalen Carter, Jordan Davis, that D-line. They lost Milton Williams, but still the core of that group is there. They added Jihad Campbell to a group that, retained Zach Bond. Like, that should be a defensive first team, but as we've seen in the NFL, like, defensive performance might not translate from year to year, even if the talent does. I mean, the Packers in 2011 is a perfect example. They had mostly the same personnel from the Super Bowl year to the next year, and it went from the driving force of a Super Bowl win to a team that could not stop a nosebleed. Mostly because that's kind of how defense works. You know what I mean? And by the way, on A.J. Brown, like, I don't view last night as an inauspicious start for the Eagles at all. Like, if the Eagles season goes sideways, I'm not going to look back and I knew in week 1, they didn't even throw to A.J. Brown. Well, Dallas Goedert's really good. Devontae Smith's really good. Saquon Barkley's really good. And Jalen Hurts is a great runner. Not everybody's going to be able to eat every week. So, like, is it just because A.J. Brown does weird things like read books on the sideline? Is that the only reason that we talk about it? Because some weeks it's not going to be his turn. There's too many good players on that team. So I was impressed with the Eagles last night. Their best player got thrown out, and there was a big lightning delay, and they were still able to win. And a big part of that is their quarterback, but they're also just going to be more talented than just about every team that they play this year. All right, our final break. I want to give you some of these details about Caleb Williams, the new Ty Dunne story. So we'll do that. Listen to a little Jimmy Buffett as we wrap up the show for the week next.
This is the Wisco Sports Show with Grant Bills on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
The Zone Blitz pregame bash is back. Every Wisconsin home game 2 hours before kickoff at the Blue Moon Bar and Grill. And this year, do I have something special for you? It's a perfect snack for game day or any day. Wenzel's Farm Pro Snack Sticks. Come see me. 16 grams of protein to fuel you through the day. Wenzel's batches using premium cuts of meat, perfectly seasoned, and naturally hardwood smoked. Check out wenzelsfarm.com. Made by pros for pros.
The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 3 minutes. The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 2 minutes. Sports Show will resume in 30 seconds.
Not only going out to Wisconsin and the great Midwest, we're going around the world tonight, Parrot Head.
Last segment of the Wisco Sports Show. Fins up. It's Friday. A lot to look forward to this weekend. NFL football tonight. The Badgers play tomorrow, which is, that's fine. More excited probably for the Zone Blitz pregame bash. Join us at the Blue Moon tomorrow from 1 to 3. And then if you get Kate's blessing, maybe you can join her at her college party. I think Emo and I might try to make an appearance. We'll see. A little bit of a bombshell dropped earlier today. Probably talk more about this next week. Tyler Dunne putting out a story at Go Long. House of Dysfunction Part 1, The Curious Case of Caleb Williams. Our series on the Chicago Bears opens up with a look at the quarterback. His coaches from 2024 open up on a season from hell. May I read you a little bit of this? So Tyler Dunne, by the way, subscribe to his Substack. It's look, I have a lot of people on, and they all have their own thing, and I want to support everybody. I can't subscribe to everything. This is one that I subscribe to because a lot of times Tyler will have stories like this. He writes a lot about the Packers too, for what it's worth. Highlight reels failed to capture his signature move as a professional quarterback. Cameras weren't flashing and sycophants weren't hyperventilating, but yes, Caleb Williams was able to master one signature move as a rookie last season. In college, he juke and spin and escape helpless defenders with hypnotic flair. He was an artist coloring outside the lines of this 53 and a third yard, 120 young, you know how big a field is, as his personal canvas, like Kate with her bedsheet. But in the pros, such sorcery was scarce. In the pros, he'd been escaping a different setting with remarkable precision and accuracy. The most dramatic spectacle of them all occurred on December 26th. His team was hosting the Seattle Seahawks on Thursday Night Football. Commercials rolled during a timeout, so nobody at home saw this poignant moment that perfectly summarized the 2024 Chicago Bears. In the wake of 2 firings, heartbreak defeats, staggering to the finish line of an agonizing 5-12 season, interim head coach Thomas Brown tried to explain something to his starting quarterback, and no, Williams was not having it. An auto response kicked in. As he had done many times all season, Williams turned his head and walked away. Shane Waldron, before getting fired as OC, used to stay quiet. Not Brown. Not a stern, blunt, old-school coach who believed his 22-year-old crossed a line of disrespect. The typically calm coach lost it. On his headset, another Bears assistant coach recalls Brown pressing the mic to finish the conversation. "Get your ass back here right now. Don't effing walk away when I'm talking to you." Unfazed, Williams sashayed away right back to the huddle. That's when you knew the world was coming to an end, one coach says. He pauses and thinks back. The world might have ended that day, but in truth, all warning signs were obvious 7 months prior. Outside the walls of Hallis Hall, hype reigned. Tickets sold in record numbers, blah, 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 blah. Jerseys flew off the shelves. The glitzy gazelle was universally extolled as the charismatic, electric, dare we say Mahomesian playmaker these Bears have lacked since the inception in 1919. OTAs arrived. Coaches unwrapped this gift from the football gods who've cursed this organization for so long. And yikes, Williams struggled to execute elementary tasks. Every day was a new disaster. That spring, the Bears changed the snap count to appease Williams. Instead of using a combination of colors and numbers like every other team in the NFL, the Bears reverted to a ready, set, go straight out of JV football because that's what the quarterback requested. Aside from the obvious on-field consequences, defenders could tee off. The Bears were establishing a troubling precedent in allowing a rookie to tell them exactly what to do. Veterans couldn't believe it. "Are you S-ing me?" one receiver asked a coach. Like when a play call would be sent in, he'd stare at his wristband for a painful length of time, like it was in another language, another coach says. Williams verbalized the call in the huddle. It was wrong half the time, and then players would be lined up all over the field. Verbiage was truncated, huddling was minimalized, the playbook dumbed down. The Bears' offense devolved into an exercise of trial and error to fit whatever the USC rookie demanded. All of which would have been manageable if Williams was willing to work. He was not. And here's the last little bit I'll read for you. For all the talk about wanting to be great, the new quarterback didn't seem to have the desire. When he wasn't storming away from a coach, he was telling veteran wide receivers how to run their routes before taking a game rep himself. In the meeting room, he barely said a word and didn't pay attention. Coaches often caught Williams on the wrong page of the game plan completely. He blew off film sessions and lifts. Chicago made him a captain. Games began and chaos reigned. So that's the lead of the story. It's 3 parts. If you're a subscriber, you can read the rest. I'm going to settle in tonight, maybe during this game, and read a little bit. This is interesting to me because I think a lot of folks completely and totally blame Eberflus, Waldron, and all of the coaches in Chicago last year. And I'm not telling you that those coaches were amazing. I'm not telling you that Eberflus is actually brilliant and Shane Waldron is great. I have seen Shane Waldron coordinate a good offense in the past. I'm not telling you he's great, but there's proof of concept that he can do it or that he has done it. That means something to me. I think that should mean something to you, right? But I'm not telling you that Caleb Williams had superstar coaching last year. This tells me that maybe not only the Bears coaching weren't superstars, but Caleb got to do everything his way and still wasn't even nearly up to the task. Not a lot of accountability, right? Not a lot of, I don't know. The fact they're talking about him skipping weight sessions and film sessions. That's not like being passive aggressive in a huddle. That's just straight up not showing up to do what's expected of you. No wonder, you get these weird looks from DJ Moore. Like, does he even like Caleb Williams? Well, I don't know. If all this stuff is true and it's Tyler Dunne, so it is. Like, can you blame him? Can you blame him for maybe being a little bit annoyed with Caleb Williams? I understand that. So it's not just coaching. We'll see how, Caleb Williams grows and adapts in year 2 with a coach we all think is better. But if Caleb Williams isn't willing to do this, that, and the other thing, I don't know that it makes a difference. Tonight, the Chiefs and the Chargers are playing. Here's the only scenario from this game that really interests me. If the Chiefs win in a blowout, I'm not going to change my stance on anything. If the Chiefs win close, as we saw them do so many times last year, it's not going to change anything for me. If the Chargers win close, it's not really going to change anything for me. Here's what will have my interest peaked. And here's what could actually move the meter for some folks on the Chiefs. If the Chargers go man-to-man with the Chiefs tonight, look like the more physical, more athletic, more talented team, and if they expose or they play the Chiefs in such a way where we all watch and think, man, do the Chiefs have enough good players? Like, do they have enough weapons? Is Travis Kelce over the hill? Right? Like, if we walk away from tonight's game wondering those things, that would be interesting. That would be juicy. Right? But if the Chiefs do the normal Chiefs thing, or even if they lose close, it's not really going to have me changing my opinion of the West. I picked the Chiefs to win it earlier today. By the way, Bill and I made our picks. I got a little spicy just because someone needs to get a little spicy. Pretty favorite heavy for the division champs. I think the Rams will win the West. They're pretty close with the Niners. The Niners, I mean, Christian McCaffrey's been banged up. I don't know what to do with that. But our conference championship games, neither of us have the Chiefs there. Bill has Baltimore at Buffalo. I have Cincinnati at Buffalo. I buy way more into the idea that Buffalo could beat the Chiefs and exercise some demons in the postseason this year. I'm kind of just out on the Ravens doing it. Our NFC championship games, Bill has Green Bay at Detroit, which would be can you imagine? It'd be bedlam. I wanted to zag a little bit. I have the Rams at the Buccaneers. I think the Bucs are going to be awesome. And I think Baker's going to have a killer year. And if Matthew Stafford can just stand up straight, like if he can just survive without his back snapping in 4 different places this year, I think the Rams are built for it, and I think they're ready to go. Like I think that's a legit team. It really, for me, is just the health of the Rams. And Q says the bad thing about this story is this team beat the Packers. What, the Bears? Yeah, but the Packers I'll give the Packers a little bit of a break in the final week of the season, and that they weren't playing any of their guys. I'll hang that game mostly around Matt LaFleur's neck and say, hey, dumbass, you want to not take a random timeout ever again? Like, I still can't believe that he did that. So, yeah, look, the Packers were not without their warts last year. And they played the Bears within an inch of their life at Soldier Field. They probably should have lost that game. The results should have been flipped. The Packers should have won the game at home, lost the game at Soldier Field, whatever. Sometimes that's how football works. But enjoy Chiefs-Chargers tonight. And on Monday, just a couple of days from now, we'll reconvene at 4, and we'll be talking about a Packer game, either 1-0 or 0-1. The sky might be falling. We'll see. Who knows? Enjoy the weekend, all the games. See some of you at the Zone Blitz pregame bash tomorrow. Maybe a Kate's party. Have a great weekend.
A boy from Mississippi, feel right at home in Wisconsin. Thank you